a $25 billion mega-project that will completely transform the East Africa we know today. With its 8 key infrastructure components, this is the single most important project for Kenya, South Sudan, and Ethiopia. I'm talking about the LAPSSET Corridor Program, an idea that originated 5 decades ago. Yet the future of East Africa heavily depends on its completion.
In a bid to position itself as the nerve center of the East African community and a gateway into the greater East Africa, the government is planning to start construction of the mammoth Lamu Port Southern Sudan Ethiopia Transport or LAPSSET Corridor project next month.
Now, it involves the construction of East Africa's biggest port and linking that by rail and road to Ethiopia and South Sudan.
What exactly is LAPSSET? What are its 8 key components? Why is the project progressing so slowly, and when will it be completed? In this video, I'm going to discuss everything you need to know about the LAPSSET project and its massive impact on the East African region. So, let's get started. According to Barack Obama, infrastructure is the backbone of a strong economy. Today, we can clearly see the truth in this statement by comparing the most developed and the poorest countries in the world. In 1975, with the same goal of upgrading its infrastructure, Kenya sought assistance from the government of Japan. The initial plan was to build a large deepwater freeport at Manda Bay in Lamu, a historic town and island located on Kenya's northeastern coast along the Indian Ocean. Between 2003 and 2008, the Kenyan government proposed developing highways and railways to connect Kenya with its neighbors, South Sudan, Uganda, and Ethiopia. Around 2009, all these projects were consolidated under the name Lamu Port South Sudan Ethiopia Transport Corridor, or simply the LAPSSET Corridor. In 2012, the project was officially launched by the governments of Kenya, Ethiopia, and South Sudan. The following year, the Kenyan government established the LAPSSET Corridor Development Authority, LCDA, to oversee and manage the project. From 2015 onward, officials estimated the total cost of the project to be around $25 billion. Since then, it has been regarded as the largest infrastructure project in East Africa's history. The LAPSSET Corridor Program is now officially part of Kenya's Vision 2030 strategy, which aims to transform Kenya into a middle-income country and strengthen its economy by 2030. Now that we've covered the history of the LAPSSET project, let's dive into what it includes. There are 8 key infrastructure components of the LAPSSET project. First, the Lamu Deep Sea Port, which is the most crucial part of the LAPSSET Corridor Program. Before this project, Kenya's primary and largest port was Mombasa Port, handling over 1.4 million 20-foot equivalent units annually and serving not only Kenya but also its landlocked neighbors, including Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan. However, Mombasa is facing some serious challenges.
To the coast now, and the port of Mombasa risks losing business if the country gets blacklisted by the United Nations International Maritime Organization due to structures obstructing shipping routes. Now, according to the National Lands Commission, IMO threatened to stop cargo ships from using the port due to poor visibility along the shipping paths caused.
The first of these challenges is congestion, in other words, the traffic jam. It is widely considered that cargo clearance sometimes takes up to 2 weeks. Poor infrastructure, outdated documentation processes, high taxes, and rising costs have led to inefficiencies, causing Mombasa to lose 17% of its cargo to Tanzania's Dar es Salaam port. To address these challenges and secure Kenya's position in regional trade, the Lamu port was planned as one of Africa's largest ports. By 2030, its total cargo capacity is expected to reach 23.9 million tons. The port is designed with 32 berths, each 400 meters long, along a 6-kilometer coastline, and as of now, the first 3 berths have already been completed. Second, a 1,720-kilometer standard-gauge railway. The LAPSSET Railway consists of 3 major segments, connecting Lamu Port to Isiolo in Kenya, extending from Isiolo to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and the one reaching Juba, the capital of South Sudan. An additional part will link Isiolo to Kenya's capital, Nairobi. The railway is expected to handle over 90% of long-haul cargo movement along the corridor, with an estimated construction cost of $13.8 billion. Third, a highway network spanning over 1,800 kilometers. 5 major highways will connect Lamu to towns and cities like Garsen, Garissa, and Isiolo. while extending links to Ethiopia's Hawassa and South Sudan's Juba. Some of these roads have already been constructed. Fourth, Isiolo and Lamu airports. The Isiolo International Airport, a key part of the LAPSSET Corridor Program, was partially completed and commissioned for operations in 2017.
Located in the heart of Kenya, Isiolo International Airport sits on approximately 800 acres of land. The airport is positioned in both Isiolo and Meru counties. The 1.7 billion shillings Vision 2030 project is home to a 1.4 kilometer runway, 5,000 square meter passenger terminal building, a 1,025 square meter office block, and a parking area capable of accommodating 200 cars.
It plays a crucial role in opening up northeastern Kenya for trade and tourism. Additionally, LAPSSET includes plans for an international airport in Lamu, though its details remain unclear. Some basic infrastructure, including runway lengthening, a police station, and a harbor office, has also been completed. Fifth, oil pipeline and refinery. So basically, 2 oil pipelines are planned, a crude oil pipeline and a product oil pipeline. The crude oil pipeline will transport oil from South Sudan and Kenya's Lokichar oil fields to Lamu port for export, with an estimated capacity of 89,000 barrels per day. The product oil pipeline will transport refined petroleum products from Lamu port to Addis Ababa via Isiolo and Moyale. In June 2016, Kenya and Ethiopia agreed on a proposed 987-kilometer pipeline, though construction has yet to begin. Additionally, an oil refinery was initially planned for Isiolo with an expected capacity of 120,000 barrels per day, but its current status remains unclear. Sixth, resort cities. LAPSSET includes plans for 5 resort cities.
Former President Mwai Kibaki launched the Vision 2030 project. Under the flagship project, tourism is envisaged to be one of the key drivers of the economic pillar, with the country targeting to build 5 resort cities.
3 resort cities will be built in Lamu, Isiolo, and Lake Turkana, costing approximately $970 million, $200 million, and $50 million respectively. And there are 2 more in Diani and Kilifi. These cities aim to boost trade, tourism, and industrialization in northern Kenya, though construction has not yet begun. Seventh, water and power projects, with the largest being the High Grand Falls Multi-Purpose Dam on the Tana River, about 186 kilometers northwest of Lamu. Upon completion, the dam will store 5.6 billion cubic meters of water, generate 500 megawatts of electricity, and supply water to Lamu City and Port. And the 8th, fiber optic connectivity. The LAPSSET project includes fiber optic cables connecting Kenya, Ethiopia, and South Sudan to support technological advancements in communication, transactions, and education along the corridor. Now, after discussing various projects within the LAPSSET Corridor Program, it might seem like everything is just theoretical. Like, is anything really built? Can someone actually go and see what's made? The answer is yes. In the Lamu Port project, the first 3 berths have already been constructed by China Communications Construction Company at a cost of nearly $480 million. In the Highways project, the Isiolo to Maril section is fully completed. The Maril to River Marsabit and Marsabit to Turbi sections are also 100% finished. Additionally, the Isiolo to Moyale and from Moyale to Hawassa Road, stretching 505 kilometers, was completed in 2016. Moreover, the Lamu port site is now connected to a 220 kilovolt national electric power grid, and several other small to large infrastructure projects are either completed or currently under construction. The quote, "The bigger the vision, the greater the resistance," perfectly fits the ambitious LAPSSET program.
Moving on, as the government rushes to complete their construction works on the Lamu Port, South Sudan, Ethiopia transport corridor, cases of insecurity in Lamu County have threatened to delay the project. Terrorism activities put lives at risk also.
On one side, it faces funding shortages from private investors, continuous delays due to slow bureaucratic processes, competition from Djibouti and Berber reports, and political and security risks. On the other side, it also receives strong criticism from local communities and environmental agencies. For instance, local fishermen in Lamu filed a petition against the project, arguing that it violated their right to adequate information. Additionally, many believe LAPSSET could negatively impact pastoral livelihoods by blocking off or eliminating traditional migratory and grazing routes. Critics also argue that the project's benefits are often captured by elites instead of reaching the local poor communities, which will further deepen existing political and economic inequalities. Now, perhaps one of the biggest criticisms of this project is its timeline. From the very beginning, LAPSSET never had a clear start or end date, so without an official time frame to achieve its goals, it often feels more like an open-ended vision rather than a well-structured plan. Now, despite the challenges and criticism, the LAPSSET Corridor remains one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects in Africa, with immense potential for economic growth. The progress made so far lays a strong foundation for the project's future, and recent advancements show that it is slowly but steadily moving toward completion.
Progress has been made even though critics say implementation has been slow. Development of a road to Garsen is underway, as well as construction of 3 berths at Lamu Port, financed by 20 billion shillings budgetary allocations in the last 2 financial years.
In 2021, the first berth at Lamu Port was operationalized. In 2022, Kenya and Ethiopia signed an agreement to construct a 3,000-kilometer railway linking Nairobi, Addis Ababa, and Lamu Port. In early 2024, a ministerial council meeting was held in Lamu, where leaders discussed strategies to fast-track the project and its implementation. So what do you think about this dream project to lift East Africa from poverty? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more fact-based informative videos.